1 Mayan hornet bomb. Long before humans had gunpowder, bullets, or grenades, the Maya discovered that nature itself could be weaponized, and they chose one of the deadliest insects in their jungles, hornets. These were not ordinary flower-pollinating bees. They were aggressive, carnivorous, and capable of multiple stings without dying. The Maya would carefully collect hornet nests using smoke to calm the insects and transfer them into clay pots or gourds. Once secured, the warriors would shake the pots violently, enraging the hornets and hurl them into enemy lines. The result? A living storm of stings, screams, and chaos as soldiers panicked, covered their faces, and ran blindly through the battlefield. Hornets attacked eyes, ears, and skin, inflicting maximum fear without any metal or fire. The Maya also used these hornet bombs in clever traps, disguising pots as heads on dummy soldiers. Enemies who struck these dummies would immediately be attacked by the swarm. This weapon proves a chilling truth. Sometimes the deadliest force in battle is a very angry insect combined with human ingenuity. Scythian poison arrows. Across the vast Eurasian steppes, the Scythians perfected psychological and biological warfare long before modern medicine existed. Their arrows were not just pointy sticks. They were coated in a horrific mixture of rotting animal remains, viper venom, and human waste. Even a minor scratch could fester into a painful, gangrenous wound, slowly killing the victim days after the battle had ended. These arrows were strategic terror tools. Enemies knew that even if they survived the fight, death could come later, silently, in the form of infection. Scythian warriors were experts at mobility, striking suddenly, then retreating before the full impact of their poisoned arsenal was felt. The combination of fear, delayed suffering, and long-range precision must their archery more than just a weapon. It was a psychological trap that attacked the mind as well as the body. Chinese ghost trap, gu. Chinese ghost trap. In ancient China, generals developed ingenious ways to make the very ground lethal. They used gu, small iron caltrops with sharp points, strategically scattered across paths, bridges, and enemy approach routes. But gu was more than spikes. They were coated in poisons, bacteria, and human filth, ensuring that anyone who stepped on them would not only be wounded but likely incapacitated by infection or disease. These traps could cripple infantry, horses, and entire flanks, turning retreat paths into death zones. Soldiers learned quickly to avoid them, but the element of surprise made the ground itself a weapon, transforming fields into invisible killers. Some reports even describe naval uses, with spikes dropped onto the decks of enemy ships. Ancient psychological warfare that combined strategy, biology, and fear in a terrifyingly effective way. 4 Wolfbrush. Defending against heavily armed coastal pirates required innovation, and the Chinese wolfbrush was a masterstroke. This weapon was essentially a 13-16-foot bamboo spear bristling with secondary branches, each tipped with poison. In combat, the wielder could thrust, poke, and scratch attackers from a distance, all while infecting and wounding enemies who dared to approach. The wolfbrush was designed for defensive formations, often paired with soldiers carrying shields and swords. It didn't require advanced training. Anyone could wave the long bamboo pole, but the effect was devastating. Pirates and raiders would often collapse under repeated stabs or poisoned scratches, confused and fearful of approaching a weapon that was too long to dodge and too sharp to ignore. Some versions were even upgraded with iron branches, turning a simple stick into a lethal instrument that combined intimidation, infection, and brute force. Urumi whipsword. The Urumi of southern India was a weapon that seemed almost too dangerous for humans to use. A flexible whipsword with 1 to 32 metal blades, it could spin, wrap, and slice with lightning speed. Warriors wielded it like a whip, flinging its blades around shields, armor, and limbs. The unpredictability of the flexible steel made it nearly impossible to defend against. Any arm raised in protection could be sliced as the blade bent around it. Mastering the Urumi took years of training because a careless swing could injure the wielder as much as the enemy. In the hands of a skilled fighter, however, it became a spinning whirlwind of death, turning the battlefield into a chaotic storm of steel. The Urumi combined artistry, precision, and sheer terror, making it one of history's most dangerous weapons for both the user and their enemies. Fire lance. As gunpowder emerged in ancient China, soldiers began experimenting with combining fire and weapons, leading to the creation of the fire lance. This primitive flamethrower was a spear with a gunpowder tube attached, designed to spit fire, sparks, and shrapnel at close-range opponents. It was terrifying because it introduced a new element to battle: unpredictability. A single blast could burn faces, ignite thatched roofs, and shatter enemy morale. While the weapon's range was limited, the psychological effect was enormous. Soldiers who had never seen fire weaponized at such proximity often panicked or fled. The fire lance represents a turning point in warfare, blending traditional melee combat with the first steps toward projectile explosives, a precursor to modern firearms. Heavenly Soldier War Kite. Imagine a giant kite loaded with rockets and bombs, silently gliding over enemy fortresses under the cover of night. That was the Heavenly Soldier war kite, a Chinese invention centuries before airplanes. Operators would attach small rockets or explosive payloads, fly the kite into enemy positions, and ignite fuses remotely. The target would be a sleeping garrison or an unsuspecting fort wall, and within minutes, the device could rain chaos and destruction. Some variants reportedly even used criminals strapped to the kites, turning them into kamikaze operators to deliver payloads directly. Silent, invisible, and highly effective, these war kites were early forms of aerial bombing, combining innovation, ingenuity, and pure psychological terror. Archimedes' claw. During the Roman siege of Syracuse, Archimedes, one of history's greatest mathematicians, used his mind as a weapon. He designed the Claw of Archimedes, a massive crane with a giant hook capable of grabbing enemy ships, lifting them from the water and violently dropping them, often capsizing them. According to historical accounts, Archimedes also experimented with mirrors to focus sunlight onto wooden ships, setting them ablaze from a distance. The Romans were shocked. They had never faced an enemy that could turn intellect into an arsenal. Archimedes' inventions show that warfare isn't only about brute strength. Sometimes, a brilliant mind can terrify entire fleets without a single sword swing. Helepolis, the siege tower of death. The Greeks and Romans were masters of siegecraft, and the Helepolis was their ultimate engineering marvel. This enormous mobile tower bristled with battering rams, catapults, and archers designed to crush city walls and demoralize defenders. It moved slowly, yet its sheer size and firepower made it impossible to ignore. Soldiers on top could ray us, and arrows and stones down, while those below struggled to keep the tower at bay. Defenders compared it to a mechanical mountain rolling across the battlefield, a combination of fire, stone, and steel that could obliterate fortifications and spirit alike. The Helepolis was less a weapon of speed and more a weapon of inevitability, showing the terrifying power of engineering in war. The man-catcher. Finally, medieval Europe introduced one of the most bizarre yet psychologically terrifying weapons, the man-catcher. Essentially a pole with a spring-loaded jaw, it was designed to snatch mounted knights off their horses and immobilize them. Once trapped, the knight could be dragged to the ground, captured, or delivered to executioners waiting nearby. Unlike weapons designed to kill instantly, the man-catcher inflicted fear, control, and humiliation, and made even elite warriors vulnerable. Its combination of innovation and intimidation shows that warfare is as much about psychology as it is about bloodshed.